At last, it's Steve Bone time, and Steve, 1, 2, 3, away you go. Steve Bone time, and Steve, 1, 2, 3, away you go.
You're winding me up like a wind-up toy. Yes, funny old week, really, isn't it, Bin? Sheffield United. Let's start with Sheffield United, shall we, and then move swiftly on from it. Because I thought the first half against Sheffield United wasn't that unlike the first half against West Brom. We were the better side. We were creating chances, playing some nice football. We just didn't put the chances away, did we? And if we had have done, if we'd been 2-0 up at half time, like we were against West Brom, I don't think Sheffield United could have complained, really, because we looked the more threatening side. But at the same time, the longer it went on without one of those going in, the doubts start to come in. And I was saying to a couple of people sat near me, and they were agreeing and nodding. The longer this goes on at 0-0, you know what's going to happen. It's either going to finish 0-0 or they're going to get a winner. We were thinking back to the game against Stoke in October, where we played quite well, had some great chances. They didn't go in. Suddenly we stopped creating chances, and then Stoke went away and got one down the other end and won 1-0. And that's kind of what happened against the Blades. It looked like it was petering out to a 0-0, and then of course they went and nicked it, which was a bit cruel, but we kind of brought it on ourselves, really, by not scoring. So disappointing. I'm never that surprised that we lose to Sheffield United. We seem to lose to them more often than we beat them or draw with them. And that kind of put the pressure on a bit, I think, for Charlton, because we were then looking at a run of 3 away games in 8 days, Charlton being the first. And if you look at it logically, Charlton, Millwall, Wrexham, if you say you need to win one of those 3, Charlton was the easiest one of the 3. So you were kind of thinking, well, if we don't win this one, are we going to win either of the next 2? Which is a bit too logical for Pompey. They never follow the logic, do they? But what a great win at Charlton! What quite an emphatic win, really. You reminded me earlier this week that I'd said on here last week that I was predicting a win at Charlton, which I'd actually forgotten about. But I think I predicted a sneaky little win, and it certainly wasn't that, was it? It was, it was a shame that Charlton got one back and put a little bit of pressure on towards the end, but I don't think it was ever in much doubt. Nice to score 3 goals away from home, a couple of crackers from Terry. Nice to see Colby get one, albeit from the spot. And yeah, that's kind of made it a decent week, hasn't it, really? I know it's only 3 points from 6, but the win is immediately behind us, giving us a bit of a lift going into the next 2 away games, and suddenly the table's not looking quite so bad again.
How good do you think our last 2 or 3 performances have been?
Well, I think they've been pretty good on the whole. The manager has spoken a little bit about this, hasn't he? The Preston and Sheffield United games weren't bad, really. At Preston we played well, and we're a bit unlucky to lose 1-0. Didn't do enough in the final third, didn't work the keeper, didn't have enough shots. Sheffield United, equally, like I say, we could have been away by half time. I don't think we played that well in the second half. I thought we lost our way, lost a bit of confidence, lost a bit of our fluency. And Sheffield United, they're a good team. They've got some big players there. Probably had a bit of a rocket behind them from Chris Wilder at half time, didn't they? Just give them a bit of credit as well for that. But yeah, on the whole, I think Preston we didn't play badly. Sheffield United we had our moments. Charlton we played very well. It was the perfect away performance at Charlton. And then if you go back to those are the last 3, and then if you go back before that, there was the win against West Brom, there was the draw at Watford, the draw with Southampton, the win at Sheffield Wednesday. It's not, although we've had a couple of 1-0 defeats in the middle of that run, we've not been playing badly. We're not playing like a team who are going down. We're a bit patched up. We've got different players getting injured all the time, but we're battling through, which is heartening.
Where's this turnaround come from?
Well, I think you can go back. I think you can maybe go back to the Bristol City game on New Year's Day, which was an absolute disaster, wasn't it?
Yeah,
three down after half an hour, lost 5-0. At that point, although that itself came after a good little run. I think we'd won 2, drawn 2 of our 4 before that. We'd had a couple of home wins against Blackburn and Charlton. but that was a real setback, bad start to the year, and everybody thought, well, this could be a long second half of the season. But actually, since then, the next game after that was Arsenal in the Cup, which I know we lost 4-1, but did okay and gave a good account of ourselves. And by the way, I was reminded of that Arsenal game when Devlin hit those 2 goals in against Charlton in midweek. He actually had one shot like that against Arsenal that might have gone in. I think we were 3-1 down at the time, and people were giving up a little bit, and then he had a go from about that same spot in the right back position, 25 yards. If that had gone in, we might have given Arsenal a few more scares as well. So I think it's, if you look at performances as a whole since New Year's Day, pretty good. We need to keep, wins are so much more valuable than draws, at the risk of stating the obvious. We need to make sure we're winning at least one game in 3 or something like that. It'd be lovely to win 2 in a row at some point, but we don't seem to be capable of that. But yeah, performances are good despite all the much changed team every week. There's people stepping up that we perhaps didn't expect to see too much of, and generally quite encouraging.
Let's dish out some praise to some individuals, shall we? Not necessarily starting with your standout player, but just 2 or 3 or 4 or however many you want. Players that you have really enjoyed seeing in a blue shirt the last 2 or 3 games.
Yeah, fair point. There's a few, isn't there? Swanson, I think you have to say Zach Swanson. There's a bit of talk now starting about Pompey offering him a new deal because he runs out, or his deal runs out end of the season. So we don't want him to be going anywhere else, do we? He's really, from the first couple of years here, he was in and out, wasn't he? A little bit injury prone.
Heel, wasn't it? Heel.
He feels like he's. Yes, that's right. He really feels like he's stepped up and he's forced himself into the manager's plans, and he's very difficult to leave out now, isn't he? And remember, he's now playing on his wrong side. He's playing at left back when he's clearly always been a right back, and he's very right footed, and he's done a great job there. Had a little game in the centre as well, I think, didn't he, somewhere? So he's done well. You can't talk about him without also talking about Devlin, who is probably, I think most would say, is probably at the, if you had the player of the season vote now, I think most people would give it to Devlin for his displays at the back, the way he gets forward, such energy, his whole playing style, the fans love, and his goals. He's now scored 5 goals. He's 2 ahead of Bishop for the season. I think I'm pretty sure we've had more goals from fullbacks this season than we have from strikers, which is quite something, isn't it? So Devlin doing well. I think Regan Poole goes a bit under the radar as well. I think he's had a very consistent season. He's been disrupted, not so much himself. He's had a couple of little niggles, hasn't he? But he must have played with about 4 different central defensive partners. Looking good at the moment next to Ogilvie. Nice to have one right footer, one left footer, and they both look pretty strong, pretty dependable. And then I also think 2 of the new boys, Ibu Adams and Millie Ali. I think they both added something that we didn't previously have. Adams in particular, he's just transformed the midfield. I don't think we quite knew what the qualities we were missing from that position until he arrived and brought them, and he looks very good. Bit of a worry about him one booking away from missing a couple of games, I think, isn't he? He's one booking away from 10, so he could be sitting a couple of games out soon. And Ali as well, he's erratic. I know, first game he played, I think, but Sheffield Wednesday away, my son went to that and said that Ali's crosses were either brilliant or terrible. There was nothing in between. They either landed on a striker's foot or in row Z, which you don't mind. If some of them are brilliant, some of them are going in the right spot, you can forgive some of the others, can't you? So he's looked good. Quite a strong player as well, isn't he? Which we haven't got a lot of forward players who have that real sort of muscle, that strength. But he's got that. He's not knocked off the ball easily. Which if you go back to earlier when we were playing people like Yang and Bianchini, they had talent, but they were getting they were a bit too easy for a defender to sort of knock off the ball. So yeah, I mean I've probably named half a dozen there, and that's half the team, and I've probably unfairly left some others out. But there's some individuals really who have really improved as the season has gone on. We need them to keep improving, or at least maintain the levels they've been showing lately, because there's still a lot of points to play for, and a lot of points that we need to win.
The Charlton penalty, was it a penalty? And what did you think of the way Colby Bishop converted it?
I mean, penalties for handball are so difficult to judge these days, aren't they? Because they change the rules, and they change what's intent and what's not intent, and they talk about when your arms are in a natural position. On the whole, I thought it was, although, I'm saying that as a Pompey fan. If I was a Charlton fan talking to you now, I'd probably say it was harsh. When I heard we had a penalty, there was no doubt in my mind that Colby would take it, and there wasn't much doubt in my mind that he'd score it. I know he's missed a few, and he's had a lean season for goals generally, but you would always want it. If you've got a penalty and Colby Bishop is on the pitch, you'd always want him to take it, I think. And it wasn't an emphatic finish from the spot, was it? He didn't smash it into the top corner. But it doesn't matter, does it? The record books will show that he beat the keeper. He scored. Vital second goal. I think it was our first penalty for about 6 months as well. I think we'd only had one very early season against Norwich that he missed, or had saved. I can't remember. So I'm sure we're due a few more now. If the Championship referees are listening, can we have a few more, please? 4 in the next 5 games or something would be nice. But no, pleased for him. It will do his confidence a bit of good, and pleased to see the manager coming out in an interview that I've read today, saying that you've got to look beyond the fact that Bishop has scored 3 goals this season. His work rate and his all-round play, the way he occupies defenders to create space for others, is as important a part of his game as his goals.
You could talk all day about that penalty, and we'll come back to it another time. But striking it down the middle, not particularly hard. It takes a certain amount of courage, but one wondered whether he'd been tipped the wink by people who do research into the opposition, who had noticed that perhaps this keeper is somebody who does commit one way or another. So the middle of the goal will be free, whichever way he commits to. But we'll come back to that unless you want to pick it up. What I want to ask you is this. With DOZZELL now out injured and Marlon Pack not being somebody who can play back-to-back games for the whole 95 minutes, we've got Adams, although, as you rightly say, he's under threat because he's accumulated so many yellows. Who would you think would line up against Adams if Marlon Pack said, look, I can't give you even 60, so keep me up your sleeve and I'll come on at 65, 70 minutes if you need me? Who goes in next in place of DOZZELL, injured, and Pack out of puff?
Yes, it's difficult, isn't it? Because there's not really, in terms of who's available, there's not an obvious answer to that. We have on occasions put Swift in there, but Swift has been done so well last couple of games further forward as the number 10, which is where you would say his natural position is. You don't really want to move him back, even if you've got Chaplin to bring back at number 10 at some point. I don't think Chaplin's going to be out for too much longer. So is there, you then ask yourself, is there someone else in the squad who perhaps normally plays in a different position who could go in there? Could you put Devlin in there, for example, next to Adams and bring in Williams at right back? Or could you even put Swanson in there and bring in Williams at left back? I think Swanson played in midfield in one of the away games at some point, and it didn't really work. It's not to say it wouldn't work better the next time if it was tried again. I think Pack will probably start at Millwall. He might not last the 90 minutes, having played at Charlton the other night. The thing with Pack is he always looks good. He always looks composed, and he adds a certain composure to the whole team's play. But as you rightly say, he's not getting any younger, and you can't expect, especially with another game on next Tuesday, Wrexham, you can't expect him to play every minute of every game. So it's a tricky one. I don't think I've missed any of midfield options, have I, in terms of who's fit?
Well,
Does
could I
Aaron
throw a
was injured?
curveball at you? And it's this. We have come to appreciate meat and menace in midfield with Pack and Adams. That's what they provide. I'm not saying DOZZELL is lightweight, but compared to Pack and Adams, he is a little. If we wanted someone with meat and menace to stand alongside Adams, would you consider Connor Ogilvie?
That's interesting. Yeah, I think you could. That's a good shout, actually. I don't know if he's got much history of playing in midfield. I don't think he ever has for us, has he? Although, a lot of these positions are interchangeable these days. You look at how Ogilvie does get forward. It hasn't happened so much this season. Obviously, at the moment he's playing at centre half, so he can't, apart from for corners. But there were times last season where him and Murphy were sort of, I'm not saying they were swapping places, but Ogilvie was getting forward into the midfield and wide left to support Murphy quite a lot. So he's clearly a player who's confident getting a bit further forward, and I think he's quite good with the ball at his feet. He's quite sensible about it. Give him when Nico throws the ball out to him at left back or centre back, he very rarely does anything silly with it. He'll either play the simple pass, or he'll look at what's ahead of him and he'll look for a longer pass, and sometimes it'll come off. So yeah, interesting point that you'd then have to replace him at the back, wouldn't you? Which at the moment you'd have to do with Boat possibly, unless because you're looking to replace him at centre half. I'm just thinking, so you could move Swanson over to the middle. And play Williams at left back, or you could bring Boat back alongside Paul. Boat, remember, did okay in a few of the games he played back in whenever it was, December. Ogilvie in midfield. Well, if it happens, I shall remember where I heard it first. Not impossible. I mean, there'd certainly be a bit of, the opposition midfield would know they've been in a battle, wouldn't they? If they had Ogilvie and Adams up against them all afternoon. So yeah, you might be onto something there. Give John a ring later. Suggest it.
He's on my mobile phone contact list, but I've not rung it yet. I've had it on there for 4 years, but I don't feel like bothering him. He's got other things on his mind.
He's a busy chap. He is a busy chap. I'm sure he'd listen to your tactical advice, though.
What about Mr. Caballero, Senor Caballero?
Yeah,
you haven't seen a lot of him, but quite a few people, including John Messino, quite like what they've seen.
Yeah. I think maybe a bit like Ali. I think there's going to be a bit of. Some of what he does is brilliant. Some of what he does is you cover your face and think, oh no, what's happened there? I think there's going to be a bit of inconsistency there. But you get that with a lot of wingers. Some of the best wingers around have been prone to that sort of up and down nature of their game. Looked pretty good against Charlton. I was hoping we might see him against Sheffield United last Saturday, but he went with other changes, didn't he? And before we knew it, he'd used up all 5, or used up his 3 stoppages for subs anyway. I think Caballero could become a bit of a crowd favourite, a bit of a sort of cult hero, really. As long as he, we want to. What you want from your wingers is an end product, isn't it? You want to see a decent number of crosses based on how much they get the ball, and I think we probably will see that with him. I think he's another one who's not going to play every game. I think he'll bring him in and out to suit different situations. We've got Harvey Blair back as an option now on the right hand side. Saw somebody yesterday suggesting that those two, Blair and Caballero, should be used in a sort of tandem, not together, but in a rotation sort of thing. So that's an interesting one. But yeah, Pompey fans love a winger. The history of the club has got a long list of wingers who have become crowd favourites. We like someone who will take on the fullback, get a cross in. I personally like right-footed wingers on the right-hand side and left on the left. You don't see it much anymore. You see inverted ones and so on. But no, I'm quite excited to see Caballero. So I hope he's next game I'm due to see will be the Hull game Saturday week. But yes, he's another potentially good addition to the ranks.
Interesting you should mention that. The current edition of Private Eye runs this thing called Coleman Balls, which is a collection of mistakes by sports commentators.
Yeah,
and I won't name the ex-footballer who said it, but he pointed out that that it was Guardiola who invented introverted left backs, which was quite good.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
We've been a couple of little tidbits here. These are so trivial, but they can be fun. We've been tracking the nicknames that John Messina attaches to his players.
Oh, I like these.
He refers to them not by their first name, not by their surname, but he gives them a nickname based on their name.
Yes.
So Swanson is Swanee. No problem there.
Okay.
Shaughnessy is Shocks.
Shocks, yeah.
Gustavo Caballero, that's easy. Gus, not a problem.
Gus, yes. I think we discussed the fact that he might be called Gus. And I'm pleased to see he is big. Yeah.
Well, just as an aside, Caballero is what's written on the toilets for men, for the gents.
Is it?
In Spanish-speaking countries, yes, it says caballeros.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
It either means gentleman.
I don't know what that tells us, but
he's either a gentleman or a man, because man is a perfectly valid surname. But the other bit of trivia, I mean, you can chew with that one if you want to. It doesn't really go anywhere, except players' first names now are names that we didn't encounter when we were youngsters learning our football. And it used to be shouts of Dave, over-ear Terry,
Peter and Jim.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So you can shake some life into that one if you want to. The other thing is I've noticed that Schmidt has started kicking from hand. In other words, he used to drop the ball on the deck and try and pick out Bishop.
That's right, he did. Has he I didn't notice that he changed, actually.
He kicked it twice from his hands with nobody around him. He didn't have to. He picked it up and kicked it like that. Got an extra 10 yards out of it.
Yeah. That's interesting. Let's start with that one. That's a bit of a throwback, isn't it? Really, because that is the only way goalkeepers ever used to. You know, if they had the ball in their hands, they would bounce it twice, wouldn't they? And then they would kick it with all their might straight up the field. Sometimes it would hit the number 9. Sometimes it would be, more often than not, it would be cleared by the opposition centre half. Yeah. I wonder if that's his choice to do that, or if that's a thing that has been. Instructed. He's been instructed to do that by the coaches. You can get a bit of extra length. You know, if we're trying to play quite a sort of if we're trying to just go 5 or 10 yards further forward to put a defence under that little bit more pressure, press them back a bit, then maybe that's the thinking. Maybe it's, you know, if the opposition see in the first 5 minutes him kicking the ball out of his hand, they will drop a little bit deeper, and it will just give us a bit of an advantage. Maybe it's a little experiment that's been going on. I shall look out for it now. I think his kicking is quite good on the whole. Sometimes it goes out for a throw, but on the whole, he's when the ball is coming back to him and there's a striker bearing down on him, and you know he's got to kick it, you can be quite confident, can't you, that he's not going to kick it against the striker, that he's actually going to get good connection on it, and it's going to go up the field and end in the other half. So quite happy with that element of his game. In terms of the nicknames, I mean, it always used to be add a little syllable to their surname, didn't it? So it would be John Swift in the old days would either have been Swifty or Swifto. Yeah,
that's very true.
But it's nice that the manager has a little nickname for them. That kind of suggests a certain rapport, doesn't it?
Yes.
I'm not reading too much into it here, but a certain rapport. You know, he's not calling them by their surname when he does an interview, which always seems a bit harsh. Like a headmaster sort of reading out a school register, doesn't it? I wonder what some of the others are then. So Terry Devlin is probably is he Dev?
I don't know.
I'm just looking at the lineup from the other night. So we've got Nico is an abbreviation in itself, isn't it? You got Dev. You got Rags. Would you call Reagan Paul Rags?
Some names don't lend themselves to this process. No. Colby Bishop. I mean, it could be Bish.
Bish.
But I've not seen it used. I've not seen John Messina refer to him as Bish.
No. some of them have got short names anyway, haven't they? Like Ebu Adams. Ebu is short enough, isn't it? Swanee, you've said, is what he calls Swanson. I'm going to have to listen out now for the whole. We need to start a spreadsheet. We need to listen to all his interviews and note down what he calls all the players.
Yes.
What's he going to call Jojo DR when he plays, I wonder? Jojo, probably.
I think he's got it already.
Jojo.
I do believe he's a Jojo.
Yeah. Segs is another one. For Segacic, that's an obvious one.
Does he need to go wide with and put a cross in with his right foot, even if it is terrible?
Yes.
Does he need to do it so that the fullback starts to have to guess? He can't assume what they now assume, which is that he's going to cut inside onto his left.
He has become a little bit predictable in that way, hasn't he? I've noticed that in a couple of games, particularly last against Sheffield United before he went off. He got a knock, didn't he? It's the same. He is so left-footed, isn't he, that when you play him out there, he's only ever going to go one way when he gets the ball near the touchline. So that you either need him to try something different, like in the first 5 minutes of a game, just to make the defender have a bit of an uncertain time with him, or you need to play him somewhere else. I'd be interested to see him on the. If there's a game when Ali's not available before Murphy is with us again. I'd quite like to see Segs on the left.
It doesn't do Colby Bishop any good to have two wingers.
The sort of player that might
who aren't crossing it.
No, that's right. And if you had a game where you had Segacic on the left and Caballero on the right, for example, you might get a few more crosses coming back to the sort of penalty spot from the byline, which Bishop might latch onto. Yeah,
we run out of time too short every time. Yes, but I have to ask you this because I really want your reaction to it. There are 7 players whose contracts end at the end of this season.
Yes.
And I'm just going to run through the names and get your thoughts on each of them, whether you would like them to stay, whether you think it would be better for them to go elsewhere, which is the sort of diplomatic way of saying we don't want you anymore.
I'll try to be kind. Yeah.
Can we do it alphabetically and get Jordan Archer out of the way first?
Yeah, I mean, I think for him, it just hasn't happened here, has it? He hasn't got high enough up the pecking order to get a place. He's only played a couple of games, I think, hasn't he? Through no fault of his own. I'm sure he's trained well and everything else, done all that's asked of him, but he's probably just not quite at the standard that a couple of the other keepers are. Therefore, move on for your own good, Jordan.
Andre DOZZELL.
Keep him, I would say. Yeah, I like him. He's a 7 out of 10 player for me. He's not spectacular. He doesn't score many goals. He's had his. I mean, he scored a couple of goals, hasn't he? He's had his share of assists, and he's a tidy player. I think you'll always get a certain level from him. I think sometimes when the team is not playing well, he disappears a bit, and when the team is playing well, he comes into his own a bit. Which some players are like that. But yes, certainly, new deal, please, for Andre, for Doz, as we'll call him.
I think this one is a given. Conor Ogilvie?
Yes, absolutely. Keep him here until he retires. Like him. Fans like him. Gives his all. There was an interesting little thing pointed out. I think Neil Allen pointed it out after the Charlton game, that 4 of the starting 11 at Charlton had... Do you know what they had in common? And Ogilvie's one of them?
No.
Signed by Danny Cowley.
Oh.
Ogilvie, Swanson, Bishop and Pack all date back to pre-Mousinho days. Which is interesting, isn't it?
Interesting, yes. Good
Suggests
spot.
that Cowley's recruitment was good. So yes, we're keeping Connor, please. Yes, new deal. Big pay rise.
Marlon Pack.
Yes. I would keep him on some sort of, that you need it to reflect that he's probably getting towards the end of his playing days. I still would have him as a playing member of the 25-man squad, but I'd be giving him some coaching responsibilities as well, which I would imagine is what he's angling for and he wants as well. Definitely. And he wouldn't be a starter, and he probably wouldn't be the captain. You can still call him club captain if you want to. I don't know what that means really, but I'd still have him in the 25-man squad next season,
Okay.
but I'd certainly be giving him a new deal and talking to him about what he wants to do. And I think they probably are talking to him about that, or they will be soon.
Toby Stewart, who's going to come back in a kilt.
He's having a brilliant season,
Yep.
isn't he? Up with St Johnstone. Every week you see he's man of the match, or he's pulled off a world-class save. I follow his dad Gary on Twitter, and because I'm aware of Toby Stewart through having played for a couple of the Sussex clubs that we cover, and he did well when he was with them, and he's doing really well, and I think he'll be back here I think he might be our number 2 keeper next season. If Schmid happened to move on, he might even be our number 1 keeper. I think he's good enough to have that in his sights. Maybe not next season, but soon after that.
Okay.
So yes, definite new deal for him. I'm sure they're talking about that already.
Let's do Ruben Swan next and last, because the last one would be Swanson, and you've already touched on him. And I think Swan beats Swanson alphabetically anyway.
I suppose it does.
I don't know. But so Ruben Swan, information's a bit thin on the ground at our end about him.
It is, yeah. He was obviously highly rated when they signed him, because they signed him at a very young age. Showed a lot of faith in him to give him a couple of years deal. He's been out on loan, hasn't he? He's had some injury problems. I think he's had a couple of different injury problems, and I can't say that I know enough about him to make a judgment. I'm sure the club will have been watching him, keeping close tabs on him, taking reports from the clubs he's been with. You'd probably, if Pompey are looking to strengthen again in the summer and free up a bit of space in the squad for people who can come in and affect the first team and be in that first team squad, I think Swan is one who we might see move on. Maybe there's a League 1 or League 2 club that would want to take a punt on him.
Okay.
But it kind of feels a bit unfair saying that, because we haven't really seen him. But I wonder if we will in a blue shirt. I wonder if he might move on before we see him.
I think that's a very wise and perceptive overview of that. Final but one question. The final question has to be, we're talking on the Friday, listening to Steve. So Millwall is round the corner.
Yes.
But we're still going to ask him for his prediction because he's so good at it. So off you go.
Yeah, I got Sheffield United wrong because I thought we'd draw there, but I did say we'd win at Charlton. I'd bite your hand off and half your arm as well for a point at Millwall. So I'm going to boldly predict a 1-1 draw at Millwall. We haven't won there for quite a long time, and I don't think we're going to win there this weekend. They're third in the table. They don't score many, but they don't concede many. 1 will do me. And as we won't speak before Wrexham away, do you want me to have a go at that one as well?
Oh yeah, of course. Sorry, I overlooked that.
Yeah.
Yes, please do.
Yeah, another game coming up.
We're playing Hollywood.
We're off to Ryan and his Hollywood mates. Again, I'd be happy with a draw there, and I think we might. Very unpredictable, Wrexham. They've done better than I thought they would do. I thought they might level out a bit this season after all their promotions, and I thought they'd be down the wrong end, but they've proved me wrong so far. But I think we will get a draw there, and I'm going to go 2-2.
Steve, always a pleasure. Talk soon.
Look forward to it.